Hi everyone, I am Ella Majors with Sexy Fit Vegan and the Plant Empowered Coaching Program, and we are live with Jamie Ratura. Welcome, Jamie.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me. Hi everybody.
Yes, thank you for being here once again. You are like a regular, and I consider you a co-host at this point, if you don't mind.
That's great. That sounds great.
Yes. So for those of you who don't know, Jamie is a Plant Empowered Coaching Program graduate and an environmental educator, and she also, what else do you want to tell the audience about what you do, Jamie?
I mean, I think those are like my top two things. I also own a company where I make and sell natural beauty products, natural vegan beauty products and home cleaning products, and it's called E. Huxley Apothecary. And so everything that I'm doing right now in my life is completely in alignment. I'm very, very pleased.
Love that, because we are all about alignment, aligning our actions with our values. And I was at a vegan industry leadership conference. I just got back today for the last 5 days, which was so incredibly powerful. So I'm feeling incredibly motivated and inspired. Talk about, you know, a group of people who's really dedicated their lives to being in alignment. It was just a powerful experience, and I'm going to do a whole nother talk on that at another time, because we are on a time crunch today. My dog has a torn ACL, so she's a little grumpy. I hear you, baby. Okay, let me grab her. Let me grab her.
Yes, please do.
My poor, this is how I carry my poor baby.
Oh my goodness.
Say hi, baby.
Yes. Hi, sweet angel.
All right, so today we are talking about how to bring out your inner badass, and we're going to do that, talk about how to do that by elevating your EQ. And this all came about, this topic came about because just last week I was asking Jamie what topic was calling her, and that's what you came up with, basically.
Yeah.
You talked about EQ. Can you just, before we even get into any stories, explain what EQ is?
Yes, absolutely. So I'm learning about it too right now. So I'm not going to say that I'm so completely versed, but I'm learning so much about it. So EQ is emotional quotient. So just like we measure our IQ for our intelligence level, we would measure our EQ for almost like our emotional intelligence level. So that's the basics of it. And there's a couple of core components to it. I don't know if you want me to go into that first, or if you want to talk about the journey first.
Yeah, I think we should jump into the journey first, because that's the interesting part. And I think everyone's going to be able to relate in one way or another, and that's so important. So yeah, well, first of all, what last week had you saying, this is what I want to talk about because this is relevant right now?
Well, part of it started, I would say a lot of it started with my quest to be the best mom I can be for my son. And one of the things that I was noticing in my life is that I would yell at him a lot. I would take my stress out on him. I wouldn't hit him, but I was almost like knee-jerk reactions to things. I didn't like who I was being. So I started on the journey of, I've read now 3 different books, and I'm doing a workbook as well on how can I be a better parent. But what winds up happening in all of these books is that it really points back to not so much your actions towards your children, but how you're defining yourself and how you grew up and all of the wounds that need to be healed within you in order to be a better parent. So it's really exciting and very emotional. And I guess another piece of it was a lot of what we're doing in our game changers, honestly. So it's been pointing me, but everything lately has been really pointing me back to what's in my heart, what's in my soul, using the word alignment again. Who do I want to be, and what do I want to align my life to look like? So and we've been doing a lot of work on it in Plant Empower coaching program, in the Game Changers group, and then I've been doing a lot of work separately as far as like my parenting technique.
Very cool. And for those of you who don't know, Game Changers is our next level program. So the Plant Empower coaching program is the prerequisite for getting into Game Changers, which just takes everything you've learned and the growth that you experience in the Plant Empower coaching program. And now we back science to it. We start to manifest success in all sorts of different ways. And it's mind-blowing stuff we're doing in that group. And Dawn's with us. She's also in Game Changers. We've got another Game Changer here, and we have 2 new Plant Empower coaching program clients this week who are just fantastic and super excited to get started. So we are almost capped at this point, Jamie. Yep. We've got a full group.
Exciting.
So it is. It's very exciting. All right. So and leading up to this point where you are in this new place, Dawn says, yay. I know some people may have not heard your whole journey. Do you want to kind of talk about some of the stuff that you are now having to explore, that you've been exploring through the program and now on your own, the wounds and the traumas that have stuck with you, that these things take a long time to fully work through, right?
Oh gosh, yeah, they do. And here's the thing about, this is something that I'm learning, is that, you feel an emotion and it's almost as if you don't know how deep that emotion really is and where it came from until you delve into it and you're like, oh, that's where it started. So a lot of what I was feeling, and the reason why I got involved in the Plant Empower coaching program in the beginning was I had so much anxiety. I'm not going to say that I don't have anxiety anymore, but I know how to process it differently now, which is incredible, because all my life I suffered so badly from anxiety that it was debilitating at times. Stress, and I mean, my stress levels were always high. And at the same time, in addition to all of those things, I consistently felt like I was not good enough. Now that is something that I still struggle with, and I'm reminding myself, a lot, the tools that we learned in the Plant Empower coaching program are easier to use now to help those feelings sort of be dealt with instead of pushed aside and pushed away.
And if I can jump in, if you don't mind.
Yes.
In terms of how we approach that, and I feel like there's two components there. There's the vulnerability piece, and then utilizing and practicing and learning the tools that we learn, the self-empowerment coaching system are for me, and tell me if this was the case for you, those are 2 just huge keys that we have to use to unlock getting to the place you are now. And I had to use it just this weekend because of being vulnerable in a group. I've got a lot of social anxiety, and I'm an extreme introvert. So what I did on the very first day is get up there and tell everybody, here's what my challenges are going to be over the next 5 days, connecting with people, because I've got, I have a lot of anxiety around standing up in front of people. And that just opened the door, honestly, for everyone to be vulnerable. So sorry to break in. I just wanted to.
No, I'm glad you did break in, because I think that, part of that has to do with you being the vulnerability piece anyway, is you being so very honest with yourself, and that's where vulnerability really, really begins. Like, that's the core of vulnerability, is can you be honest with yourself in order to be able to be vulnerable to others? And I commend you for it, because I know that was tough for you. And I think you're so brave and courageous for having done that. So amazing.
Well, I think you are so brave and courageous, Jamie.
Well, thank you. Thank you. And I'll go back into my journey. I noticed that I almost like stymied myself. Like, I could never see tomorrow because I was so stuck in yesterday. Like, I would constantly say things like, I used to be. And I would always refer to the person who I was in my life at one point when I thought I was the greatest me that was possible. And as I went through the program, all of it was amazing. All of my life has been amazing, but I sort of pushed away the bad, thinking that only the good was the amazing part. I pushed away the shadows, thinking that only the light were the things that I needed to focus on.
Mhm.
And which of course made me very depressed for so much of my life.
And you would beat yourself up for having negative emotions in the first place.
Yeah, because, and I think this is true for a lot of people, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but like everything always looked good around me. Like I always had, and a person who we're going to speak about, Dr. Joe Dispenza, he talks about this too a lot in his teachings, is that in his life too, it's like he had everything going for him. Like I always had great jobs. I always had fun things that I was doing. And so people around me didn't really know what was going on inside, because I put up a really, really great front. And when I would feel depressed, I would constantly get, oh, but your life is so good because of this. And I was like, well, wait, yes. And there's other aspects of me that you don't know. You only see the outside. So, I mean, it's frustrating because I didn't know what to do. And I thought, why don't I feel better considering everything around me is so great?
And how did that manifest in terms of like from a physical sense as well, and just lifestyle? I sometimes forget to throw that in, this in there for, we've got a group of people that most of them join because they want to improve their eating habits or fitness habits and really make this transition to a healthy vegan lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
How was that stuff affecting your ability to be healthy physically as well?
Oh gosh, I want to say the quick answer to that is so many ways. The short answer of that is, I'm sorry, that was the quick answer. The long answer to that is I was a hiding eater, a hidden eater. So that was one of the pieces. I would go out with people, I would go out with friends, and I would order the nice dinner on the menu, or the dinner that you would think was the most calorically correct.
Right.
And then I would come home and I would gorge on things like cheese, or pasta, because I was still hungry. Not physically hungry, but like emotionally drained and needed something else to fill it. So I did that a lot. And then as far as my fitness levels, when I say the I used to be, I would always focus on the athlete that I used to be. And as I aged, but I wasn't as active. And so when I would say things like, well, I used to be able to run 6 miles, 10 miles a day, and then I was only able to run 1, it would make me give up quickly.
Yes.
So I would sort of be defeated before I even began and not even start a new anything for myself. And I didn't feel like I needed to, not because of being unhappy with the way I looked or being happy with the way I looked, but because I was just so depressed that I couldn't stick with anything. I couldn't do it because I didn't care enough about me to make myself healthy again.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. And when we look at the, you had made a note about Dr. Laura Markham.
Yes.
And you had made some bullet points about what she considers the core components of EQ. Mm-hmm. One of those being emotional self-awareness and acceptance. Mm-hmm. And I think in this day and age, there is so much of a positivity movement that we get wrapped up in the fact that people are saying we should be happy all the time. We see social media and people are happy all the time, and after you look at other people's lives and say, wow, they're just happy all the time. What am I doing wrong that I'm not? Mm-hmm. And so the awareness, and then being able to have the tools to deal with those negative emotions and know that it's okay to have negative emotions, but not to be a victim to them. Right? Not to let them dictate your actions, not to let them make decisions that are going to be harmful to you.
Absolutely.
Right? So that's a big one.
And, some of the things that she points out, first of all, she's phenomenal. Definitely read her books. She writes a lot of books about parenting. or siblings or whatever. So she talks a lot about relationships, which is familial relationships, which is, of course, at our core, primary socialization. It's a very, very important key. And I'm going to read off my notes a little bit just because it's so profound what she said, and I don't really want to mess it up too much. So I'm going to try and read off of what she said, but she specifically says, if we don't understand the emotions that wash over us, they scare us and we cannot tolerate them. We repress the hurt, the fear, or the disappointment, which allows our bodies to get used to no longer regulating them. So we're not feeling those feelings, which means we push them out, which means we don't know how to deal with them. It's not that we don't want to deal with them, we just don't know because we keep pushing them away. So emotional self-awareness and acceptance sort of brings it all back into play so that we learn how to regulate them so that they don't just pop up in knee-jerk reactions. And that's in all of our social relationships. It's not just our relationship with our children. So it is important to really delve into that. And I think that's where that vulnerability winds up coming in, is when you finally are honest with yourself. So, yeah. And then understanding that as we've gone through our whole lives, by the time we're 35, according to Dr. Joe Dispenza, we are programmed. Like our body. If we had to be conscious of every move we made every single day, that would be our whole life, right? So our body, we create patterns in our lives, and our bodies basically become the brain in a sense, in that the body knows what to do. When we think about driving, getting to our destination and realizing that we don't really know how we got there, you know what I mean? In terms of, because we're on autopilot, and that just goes for everything. So being able to take that step back and say, hey, this is going to be work to reprogram. A lot of work. It is, and it's an emotional roller coaster. I say it over and over again. Oh my gosh, it's an emotional roller coaster to try and rewire, because then, and Joe Dispenza points it out, but also I think we are in it. We're in the thick of it, you and me and everybody else in Game Changers, is like, once you try to rewire, once you're making yourself a little bit more aware of what you're doing, your body is fighting back at your brain, and it's saying, no, I mean, you've been doing it this way for this long. Let's just keep it how we have it. And so it's a very difficult transition to make, but I am already also feeling the positive changes, but it's definitely an up and down, my goodness. Oh yeah, and I think you get to the end of the Plant Powered Coaching Program, and you've got some mastery of some really powerful tools that you can go on, and anyone just finishing Plant Powered Coaching Program will tell you they're in a new state of mind, new state of being. Their new path is going to be completely different than the path that they would have continued on if they hadn't done it, in a really extremely exciting and positive way. So when we step into Game Changers, it's like, oh, we've got all the hard stuff done. But when we start to, like you said, really get into rewiring and reprogramming, all that stuff comes up. It's like it comes up again, and even more intense, because we understand at that point the power that we have. You get it in Plant Powered Coaching Program, but then it's like another level, and it causes the environment around us to be different, to seem different, because we're actually creating the change in our environment. And that's a scary thing, because we're used to trying to keep everything in place, where it's comfortable, where it's familiar. And we're choosing at that point to throw all that out the window and kind of take things to a different place. And it's exciting, and it's frightening at the same time. Yeah, and I think part of it is we realize that our lives are not a reaction. We are being more proactive in our lives, which changes our energy field, and changes people around us too. So like, people around us aren't maybe used to us not being reactive, or I'm sorry, to us being proactive and not reactive. And everything else in our life is all used to that, because that's the way we've done it for so long. So life should not be a reaction. Life should be you being proactive, and that's what we're learning how to do, which is an incredible task when you have spent so many years being the opposite way. So, yeah.
All right, so if we're gonna like really lay it on the line and talk about, tell people, you know, here are some solid ways to improve your emotional quotient or emotional intelligence, so that we can step into our power and step into our inner badass, as the title of this says, which is a running, and I wanted to use that because it's like our running theme in the program. Everybody, you know when somebody's gotten to that it's like a milestone, right? When they can say, I'm a badass. I just realized, and I am owning the fact that I'm a badass. And it's like this, it's just fun to see people get to that place, and this light bulb goes off, and it's this very powerful place, right?
Yeah, it is. It's spectacular. And I think that, so if we want to pinpoint, I'm thinking of just two off the bat, and I would love for you to add to this, or, but I think some certain tools that I find most helpful in my everyday life that I learned in the Plant and Power coaching program is number one, the power of the pause. And I feel like I say it on every single Facebook Live that we do. That is like my ultimate first thing that I do. Power of the pause means that when you're in the middle of a situation where you catch your mind doing something that is tape recorder, and it's going through and through, or if you catch a knee-jerk reaction that you have, you literally pause, whatever way that looks for you. My way is to take a big deep breath and to say, and this way I know that, okay, I am being triggered. I am allowing myself to be triggered. I am thinking my old thoughts again. I am acting my old way again. I don't want that to happen. Dr. Joe Dispenza mentions in his book that one of the ways that he does it is he takes a breath and he immediately says the word change right after that, because that will change your brain or it'll click in your brain to start acting a new way. So you breathe, you say change, and that's his way of doing it. I find that helpful too.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other piece that goes along with what we were saying, that Dr. Laura Markham states too, is throughout the Plant and Power coaching program, we learn a lot about how to be more mindful of our emotions, how to be more mindful of our everyday life. Yeah. And that is a key component when you can actually sit there and recognize who you are and who you're being and how you're acting. And if you like it, then you keep it. If it's something that you don't like, you can change it. You have the power to change it, but you have to know that that's what you're doing in order to be able to do anything. So I think those two things, to sum it up, that's the best way I can sum up how to be, emotionally intelligent and how to move your life forward in a positive way.
Absolutely, that awareness. And we need the awareness, the pause and the awareness go together. Dawn said, hey, Alyssa's here too, and Valerie as well.
Hey.
Program people, love it. It's our family. It really is such a family, is it not?
Yes.
And I knew that Dawn loved the power of the pause, is like her favorite too, tool. And Valerie said the guilt and shame around emotions are usually way worse than the emotions themselves. And that's where the vulnerability piece. So for me, the other two pieces of this would be being courageous enough to be vulnerable and being empathetic to ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Because we are the hardest on ourselves. And as long as we are beating ourselves up, beating ourselves down, however you want to say it, we're not leaving room to build ourselves up.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%.
And for me personally, and I know you got to run here in a second, but that vulnerability piece for me was the spark, was the very first step I needed to make the changes in my life that I've been able to make and get to this state of I don't know what, empowerment, of freedom, of
euphoria almost. Yeah.
It's an amazing place to be, and it's so exciting to have seen you get there, Jamie, Dawn, Alyssa, Valerie, and everybody now who's just starting in the program. It's just so exciting. And that's why you're a mentor now, as well as a game changer. You're a mentor for the Plant Empowered Coaching Program members as well. So yes, thank you, Jamie. I know you got to run to your next meeting, but I'm going to let you hop off.
Okay.
I'm going to stay on for just another few minutes, you guys. But thank you, thank you. You're going to be back in 2 weeks, yeah?
I will be here in 2 weeks. Yes. Thank you all for joining and watching, and thank you, Ella, for having me once again.
Thank you, Jamie. We'll see you next time.
Okay.
Bye.
Oh, trying to get off. Go ahead. You keep talking.
All right. So there she goes. All right, you guys. So yeah, so that's going to do it for today. I just want to mention, as I said at the beginning, just a few little personal things. One of the things that we do in the program in all of our group calls, which happen 2 times every week, we have live group calls, is we do a celebration, and then we talk about our challenges and any guidance that we need. And so I just want to also celebrate. I want to celebrate the conference that I just got finished with in Deerfield Beach. It was at a retreat called Balance for Life Florida, and the owner and the medical director there are some of the most kind and compassionate, knowledgeable people, and they heal people. They do a lot of healing work there. They're also salt, oil, and sugar free when you're going to their actual retreat. So I ate salt, oil, and sugar free, and I'm already pretty much sugar free all the time, but salt and oil is not is something that I still include in my diet. But it was a fantastic experience, and I got to meet with leaders across the vegan movement. Robert Cheek, the founder of vegan bodybuilding and fitness, he was like the only vegan bodybuilder for I think 8 years, like well known. He's fantastic if you've never had a chance to check out his stuff. But everyone from him, Gray, have you guys ever seen that Thanksgiving wrap? It came out, I don't know, I think it was a few years ago. It went viral. It's this badass vegan Thanksgiving wrap. And that artist was there as well. His name's Gray. He was fantastic. He has a company called Plant-Based Drippin'. So I'm just giving a few shout outs here, because what we did is really talked about how to move the vegan movement forward in a faster and more powerful way. And a lot of that means coming together more and not and celebrating each other's contributions. We were helping each other, how to build businesses. Everybody's got different strengths and challenges in their business. We were all able to come together and really have these conversations. Somebody in our group just the other day, she called me a sellout. I left it in there for you guys to see, because it was actually Jamie cited an article, and it talked about a rat study, and this lady was furious, so furious to the point of name calling and saying she's never following this group again, and it was so out of alignment with the theme that we have, which is compassion for animals, for the environment, for the planet, and for people, and to know that everybody's at a different place on their journey. And that's what makes the Empowered Vegan Life group so special to me, is that we work very hard to make it a safe space. She is of course not a member of our group anymore, and anybody who criticizes or puts out negativity towards anybody else is not welcome in our group, and we will not tolerate that kind of tone or attitude, because all of you, no matter where you are important, and you're on your own journeys, and you're here because you want to learn and you want to grow. And so that's what this group is for. That's also, we got Emma here. Hi, Emma. And then we take that to a whole nother level in the Plant Empowered Coaching Program, because I handpick every client that we bring in. We have a very tight knit family, really is what it comes down to. We have a tight knit family there. And we get so vulnerable, you guys, so vulnerable. Alyssa said she was so mean and out of line. She really was. She was just mean, and she is not going to be helping anyone. She's not going to be helping the movement. She cared about animals, obviously, which is fantastic. So I've been an animal rights activist since I was 7 years old. So for her to call me a sellout, it's like, come on. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, the Plant Empowered Coach Program. So you guys, we do we are almost at capacity in that program. We've got a fantastic group. We do have a few more spaces. So I am doing what we call breakthrough calls. And this is a 45-minute call that we get on. And I'm doing them myself right now. I'm jumping on the phones and we explore where you're at. This is about you. This is not about me. It's not even about the program. It's about exploring where you are, what your struggles are, what your goals are, what success would mean to you, and really diving deep. And if I feel like you're ready, if the programs are the right fit, it's the solution for what you're struggling with, then we can talk more about that. And I can give you more information, answer all your questions. I'll also know if it's not a good fit. We look for very specific clientele at very specific, with very specific mindset and readiness, because it is work. It is work. And I do not sugarcoat that one little bit. It's a lot of work, but the outcome, the results are so transformational, so life-changing that yes, that we have all these people that are in the program keep joining these Facebook Lives as well, just because it's that powerful and it's that exciting. So I will put the link in the description. If you are interested in having that conversation with me, now's the time. I have very limited time on my calendar. I have very limited space in the program. So don't wait, if not now, when, right? A day turns into a week, turns into a year, and next thing we know, it's 10 years down the road and we're stuck in the same place. So let's not do that. This is one life we've got to live here. What are you doing with it, right? So book that call, and we will be back next Thursday live, every Thursday at 3 p.m. unless I put otherwise. Sometimes we have to adjust it based on trips and that sort of thing. But in general, we're here every Thursday at 3 p.m. Join us live, interact. We have so much fun. Thank you all for being here. Love you all. We will see you back in the group.